हेलो गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी, वेलकम टू माय चैनल द इनविजिबल ट्रेडर। और वीडियोस अगर आपको अच्छे लगते हैं तो लाइक कमेंट और शेयर कीजिए। आज हम लोग जो वीडियो लेके आए हैं वो जो लोगों ने रिक्वेस्ट करी थी और मैंने ग्रुप में पोल भी डाला था कि इसके ऊपर वीडियो बनाए या नहीं बनाए। जनरली मैं आईपीओस के ऊपर वीडियो नहीं बनाता हूँ, पर 2020 में जिस तरह के आईपीओस की लिस्ट आ गई थी मार्केट में, 2021 में भी लगता है कि काफी बड़े बड़े आईपीओस आने वाले हैं। अगर लिस्ट आप देखो, इफ यू वांट टू चेक द लिस्ट फॉर द अपकमिंग आईपीओस, देन यू हैव प्रीटी बिग वंस लाइक रेलवेज का ही एक और आईपीओ रेलटेल आएगा, right? Then Zomato is in line, LIC, which is the most weighted IPO of India, that is in line. Then I think Kalyan Jewelers is in line. So there are around 8 to 10 companies which are in line for IPOs in 2021 till now, and we may get more also. But anyway, today's discussion is first of all we will do individual analysis of IRFC and individual analysis of Indigo Pent. Okay, I mean, I will not do an analysis like an CA does, but what I will do is basically I'll go ahead and look at the numbers that a retail trader need to look at and able to make a decision that where they should put the money, first of all, if they have limited capital, right? Okay. So let us start with the analysis first, and then we will decide where we want to put the money. So IRFC की analysis हम पहले करते हैं. So IRFC, if people doesn't know, it's an NBFC created in 1986, which funds only railways. What is an NBFC? I hope people knows that NBFC stands for non-banking financial corporation. Okay, so it's like a company like a Bajaj Finserv or a Capital First or something like a DHFL, right? These are all NBFCs. NBFCs generally have their own niche, right? For DHFL, if you look at that, is mostly towards housing and all the stuff, right? And Bajaj, if you look at, they are diversified. So they are into consumer durables, they're into bike loans, they're into car loans, they're into housing finance a lot. And LIC, if you look at, is mostly into also housing finance. SDFC, if you look at, is also mostly into housing financials, right? So similarly, IRFC is an NBFC which is basically dedicated to railways financing. What it finances, that we will look at later, but it actually finances to an organization. Okay, that is why it's a monopoly market anyway. That means nobody else is right now funding railways requirement, money requirement, right? So whatever the money is required, that is being raised by IRFC, and this has been IRFC. This has been doing it from 1986 itself. So it's almost 35 years till now, right? So we will discuss the risk also being a monopoly in the market at a later stage in the presentation. So whenever an NBFC actually operates in the market, even if IRFC, right? So what they do, it's a lending arm basically to railways, right? So it will fulfill the demand of railways. So if you look at, I have just created a, how does the NBFC market, if you want to explain it to a layman, this is how it will look like. So the demand side, that how much of money their railway is requiring, and who is giving the money from which IRFC is raising, because IRFC isn't just an NBFC organization. They don't have their own money, okay, big money especially. So they will borrow the money from somebody and they will lend it to railways, okay, railways and its subsidiaries ideally. Okay, now if we look at the demand and supply here, so the demand generally comes from these companies of railways. So Railtel is one, Railway Vikas Nigam Limited is one, Konkan Railways, and there are other subsidiaries of railways. RITES is there, IRCTC is there, but IRCTC anyways right now they are already listed, so they are raising the money from the free market actually, right? So all the other subsidiaries of railway and including railway as a core organization, the demand is basically come from this organizations of railways, right? ना सप्लाई ये कहाँ से लेते हैं? अगर आप देखोगे IRFC सप्लाई कहाँ से लेता है? दैट मीन्स फ्रॉम वेयर दे गेट द मनी सो दैट दे कैन प्रोवाइड इट टू रेलवेज, राइट? So they generally raise the money in the form of bonds in the market, right? Both tax and tax free. And if you look at the percentages here, right, as it is written in the internet, so tax bonds were 32% and tax free bonds are 28%. So 60% of their money requirement or the borrowing capacity comes from ideally bonds. Okay. And who buys the bond? Of course, there are big institutions, financial institutions, and all those which basically buys those stuff, right? And they fund 10% of the requirement of the demand from their own reserves. That means the profit they are making or selling their equity, diluting their equity, and all those, they have not diluted yet till now, because if you look at the promoter share is still 100% here. So it basically comes from their own reserves, which is basically comes from their own profit. Okay. And if you look at this number, I have put it in bold, this 10%, this 10% is a huge number. Okay. It's a very big number because if we go to railways, if we look at this data, not gray market. So this is our Indio IPO. Where is our railway? Where railway went? Okay, not a problem. So we'll go ahead and look at. Okay, yeah, I was looking in Upstock actually. Yeah. So if you look at the amount of capital that they have given to railways is around 2.3 lakh crore. Okay. And this they have given, basically this is the total value of rolling stock assets. Okay, and this is not the only asset that IRFC actually finance. So this is the value of rolling stock asset. There is infrastructure, there are other things. I'll tell what rolling stocks are ideally. Okay. Now, if you look at the NBFC in financial 17, 18, 19 and 20, they are financing 72, 93, 82, 76% of India's railways total rolling stock. Okay. So this is where the monopoly comes into picture. That means 80 to 90% of the money is being provided by IRFC only. And what are rolling stocks, guys? Rolling stock assets are nothing but your locomotives, right? The things that railways need to operate on the road, right? Or on the network. So coaches ho gaye, diesel engines ho gaye, right? And all the instruments for maintenance and all the stuff are basically rolling stock assets. Okay, that means IRFC, if you look at, this is the amount just for rolling stock asset, just for the rolling stock assets. Okay, now this number is way more if you compare other amount also. Okay, so this is the kind of borrowing that IRFC does generally does from the market. Okay, right now also. So who is the biggest money giver? No doubt is LIC. Okay, before going to LIC, why I said this 10%? So if you look at it, 10% of 2.3 lakh crore, it comes around 23,000 to 25,000 crores. Okay, around 10% of that, isn't it? So that is the amount of money they have surplus in their account that they can rotate by giving the money to railways. So it's not small. 25,000 crores is not a small number, which comes from own reserves. That means it has a very strong fundamentals in terms of numbers and its capacity to provide money to railways. Okay, so this is the important factor which we need to keep in mind if you are going for a long term for this stock, first of all. Now, of course, the rest they have institutional, they generally go for 8%, but I think last year or last to last year they have a MAU signed with LIC for 1.5 lakh crore. I think whether that is finished or not, we need to check. That means they might raise the money in tranches and then in future also, in future years, and then keep providing it to railways. So this 1.5 lakh could be over years, which is basically over tranches, in tranches. Okay. Anyway, So this is the supply side. That's how IRFC borrows money from the market. Does IRFC need to bother on the cost of funds? First of all, what is cost of funds? Cost of funds is nothing but the interest rate at which you are borrowing money from the market. Okay, so that means आप किसी से पैसा ले रहे हो 5% में इंटरेस्ट में और किसी को लेंड कर रहे हो 8% के इंटरेस्ट में, ठीक है, तो आपको 8% इंटरेस्ट के साथ मनी रिटर्न करेगा and you will return the money to from where you got the borrowings and a 5% interest. Okay, सो मोटा मोटा अगर आप देखोगे 3% का जो है वो आपका मार्जिन हो जाता है. जस्ट आई जस्ट गिवन एन एग्जांपल. ओके, सो सिमिलरली आईआरएफसी का जो मार्जिन है ना, दैट इज इन द रेंज ऑफ 1.5% to 3% डिपेंडिंग अपॉन वेदर दे आर फंडिंग इट फॉर द रोलिंग assets or they are funding it for something else. Okay, depending upon the category of assets and the category of funding, this margin actually varies. But what is the good thing in IRFC? This margin they can decide on top of their cost of funds. That means अगर LIC ने आज बोला कि मैं आपको 2% इंटरेस्ट में पैसे दूंगा एंड लेट्स से देयर मार्जिन इज 3%, तो इंडियन रेलवेज को 5% इंटरेस्ट पे पैसे देंगे. अगर LIC बोला 2% की जगह आई विल इंक्रीज इट टू 5%, देन ऑल्सो IRFC will give the money to railways at 8%. So they do not compromise on their margin. Okay, depending upon the cost of funds, they just add their margin and give it to railways, as simple as that. But since these are big money, they generally get their money at a very low cost of funds. Okay, the funds cost is very, very low compared to other people who are other NBFC who are raising the money in the market. Okay, so that's where the risk is really, really zero because they are playing on absolute margin. Okay, and these are the only, this is the only company who is funding into railway. Okay, so that's the biggest advantage, and that is the biggest advantage of this word called monopoly. Okay, now let's look at some numbers. See, all the numbers that you will see in other YouTubes and all those, I don't want to repeat them. You can see it in the some websites also, but fundamental numbers are very, very good. 20% profit year by year. Okay, and other numbers are not dangerous, so that's why I have not put it here. So from a number point of view, from a fundamental point of view, IRFC looks really, really good to me. Okay, now let's consider how IRFC makes money. यहाँ पे हम लोगों ने थोड़ा सा discuss किया है, but we discuss it from rolling asset leasing. Rolling asset leasing क्या होता है? It's generally 30 years की leasing होती है. That means the money that IRFC is taking from the market, okay, from this box. Okay, so they buy the assets themselves, give the lease to railways, and when the lease is finished after 30 years, they transfer the asset to railways at a very minimum price. That is how the rolling asset leasing works. The only advantage here, which you might not see, is people might not be talking it in YouTube, is ideally this lease money IRFC gets in advance. Okay, अब घर में रहते हो ना, घर में एडवांस रेंट दिया है, राइट? हम जनरली 1 month एडवांस रेंट देते हैं, राइट? IRFC को ये मनी आई थिंक 3 to 6 months एडवांस में मिलते हैं. Okay, that means they get the money in advance. Now people who are into financial institution and financial numbers in the industry, they know if you get the money in advance, your internal rate of return increases very, very high. Okay, I'll just give you a number. I don't know how many people can understand this number, but if I get my rent 2 months before, my internal, I'm talking about XIRR, okay, internal rate of return is going to increase by 10% itself. And that is how a lot of NBFCs play on big numbers. Okay, so the number in terms of profitability will look very, very big if you are getting the money in way advance. And this is, I'm talking about 6 months of advance IRFC getting the money from Indian Railways. Okay, now rolling asset leasing is one, then we have infrastructure leasing, and there are other things. We'll discuss it a little bit in detail. Now let's say if you have decided to put your money onto this stock. Okay, now these are the advantages that we have discussed. What is the risk? The risk is basically railway right now is actually privatizing the railways, right? There are few routes or few networks which is going to be privatized, and there is nothing wrong there in privatizing, because railways is trying to increase the capacity. It is trying to make a world-class railway organization of the world. So the money requirement is very, very huge, even if which IRFC cannot suffice to give the money. Okay. And that is why few of the things will be privatized. Okay. Now what is the problem if things are getting privatized? Okay. IRFC people, these private companies can ask money from IRFC also. If IRFC is going to give money to this private organization, then the NPA risk is actually higher. Okay. NPA is for risk is high. Okay. Now this NPA risk, non-performing assets, because since it's a private company, the risk will be on IRFC. If it is Indian Railways or the Indian Ministry of Railways, the risk is with the Ministry of Railways. Government generally will not default. They're not defaulting anyway. Okay. So if more privatization happens, the NPA risk of IRFC might go up. That is one risk. But that will only happen if IRFC decides to fund private organization also when privatization is done. Abhi nahi hua hai, so we don't need to bother. Okay. And the second risk, which may happen, may not happen, if there are any other body which Government of India creates, which says that we want to kill the monopoly, we will allow other financial institution to fund railways also. Okay, like a Bajaj Finance, for example. Let's say. So in that case, competition will come into picture. Okay, and that's where basically you might see the company value a bit getting diluted. Okay, there is a value in a monopoly market and there is a value in a non-monopoly market, right? So these are the only two risks which is associated to IRFC. Promoter share currently मैंने ये group में डाला था. It's a President of India, which is basically ideally Government of India, 100% share right now. After IPO, they are going to dilute around 17%. Government will have 83%, public will own 17%. Okay, which is still good. Okay, from a valuation point of view, the price to book ratio is right now is ideally 0.97. Okay, that means 1, absolutely 1. And the money which they are asking, the listing price is around the same value, which is basically 25 to 27 rupees, I think right now, right? 26 is the upper cap, I think. So 26 rupees ke aspas, which is actually price to book value at a 1:1 ratio. In that segment, the valuation is basically, the company is not overvalued as compared to Indigo Paints. Indigo Paints ko main bataunga why it is way overvalued. Okay, so IRFC is not at all overvalued. So 25 rupees ka share, it's a very minimal value. The P ratio, price to earning ratio, is 8.5. Okay, though it's an NBFC, but it's into a sector where nobody is present, so you cannot compare whether the P is good or bad or not. But if you compare NBFC as an industry, okay, so it is, I think, NBFC's average P ratio should be more than 18-20 plus. So this is still 1/3 of the industry P if you consider NBFC as an industry. So these two number itself are way lucrative to put money into this stock. Okay. The only thing that we need to bother, if we have put the money here, in future is the growth is going to come or not, and that is where the share price will increase, no, or else not. So there are two things that will happen. Either there will be growth in this company or there will be no growth. So we'll talk about two scenarios. So let's say there is heavy growth. Heavy growth kahan pe aayega? Railways increasing the routes and networks. Everybody knows railways heavily investing into real estate, right? You might have seen a lot of railways now coming up with their own food court kind of stuff and other stuff inside a railway station kind of, so which is planned ideally, right? Railways also trying to lease some of its real estate around the rail networks, right? So that is also, so the money is going to come. Okay, and especially the freight corridor, everybody knows that there is a separate freight corridor, which is basically where all your malgadis will run, right? There are warehousing projects and other infra. So what I'm bullish about is basically, if this goes up, if the infrastructure projects of railways goes up, Okay, other than the rolling asset leasing, you will not get that much of money. I mean, big growth. The big growth is going to come from infra. Okay, so if the infra is going to increase by government of Ministry of Railways or by government of India, then you have a huge potential for this stock. Okay, otherwise you might not have that much of potential. That means it might just go to from 25 to 75, 80, or just stay there around, right? It may not be like going to 300 or 400 kind of stuff, like other government companies. But anyway, let's say the growth doesn't happen. 25, 26 is still not a bad value. What we need to look at here is the dividends. So we need to look at the history of the dividends. What I've looked at in the history of dividends, they do around in an absolute range of 0.5, because the government of India, so whatever the profit they're making from this margin, no, government of India takes straight out 30% of profit from there and distributing in terms of dividends. Okay, this number is way huge. No other company does a 30% distribution of dividends currently, ideally, as far as I know. Okay, so if they want if they're going to continue this 30% kind of dividend from profit, then this stock could be a stock for you for creating passive income source. Okay, I always told that in your portfolio you should always have a stocks which gives you dividend, and a stocks which basically are growth in nature. Okay, give you growth in nature. It is a mixed portfolio, and dividend based stocks are basically generally they give you a lot of passive incomes, right? Multiple stocks if you have. So I think if you consider this, if growth happens, then it is balle for you. If growth doesn't happen and they don't change any policy, you are going to anyway make money in dividends. Okay. And anyway, if you're going for an IPO, if we go by the numbers, let's look at the numbers. I think they're trying to, the issue size is 4,600 crore. Fresh issue कुछ है क्या? Fresh issue नहीं है. Okay. Lot size is 575, so it is around 12,000, 25 rupees, 12,000, 13,000 rupees per lot. I think the max lot limit would be 12 to 13 around, so which is will be around 1 point something, 1.93 lakhs के आसपास होना चाहिए, right? So that is what max you can apply. So if you want to apply, you can apply actually. And the dates are here: open on 18, closes on 20th. Allotment will be 25, initiation of refunds on 27. That means if you do not get allotment, you will get your money back into your account on 28, right? And listing date is 29. That is where it will open in the market, right? So those are the numbers. And yeah, I was looking for fresh shares. I mean, how much of money they are raising for growth actually. So it's not there, but anyway, that's fine. So if you look at this number, the market capitalization will come around how much? Around 40,000 crores. Caspas, right? Yeah. Anyway, we are not bothered about market capitalization right now. So let's look at our numbers, that how much of money that we are going to get. Okay. So if you want to apply this for listing gain, then I don't think you might get a good listing gain from here compared to Indigo IPO. I'll come to Indigo IPO again. But if you want to keep it on a long term, because of just these values, okay, these growth stories, these dividends, and this monopoly, if you consider these 4 parameters, I would still put my bet on IRFC for a passive income at least, even if it doesn't give me growth. Okay, cool. So that's about IRFC. Indigo will not do a lot of analysis because a lot of people will go for buying this, but you can go ahead and look at the similar numbers for Indigo in the chart. I have just put it here, the high level summary numbers. See, Indigo from a business point of view, this is 5th largest pen company, and they are into all pen products. And this is the only company who has actually come up with some innovative products in the market, which even companies like Asian Paints or Berger Paints didn't do, right? So Asian and Berger anyway first and second in the current industry. Indigo is the last right now, by the way, right? But what is attractive about this company is the revenue growth basically has decreased in this year. Is might be because of the COVID a little bit. Else all the other parameters looks good. Okay, that means profit before tax, return on capital employed, debt to equity ratio, they all looks good. I think they have only 40 to 50 crores of debt in total as a company, and the money they are trying to, I mean, SEBI has approved for 1100 crores of kind of money raise for them, right? That's what we'll look at the numbers. The promoter shares right now is 60%. It's a, I think, Jalan family. Investors right now 40%, which is basically Sequoia and another institutional investor. Public has one. Public means employees right now. So the employees has 1% of stake in the company. After the IPO, the promoters will come down to 54%, investor will come down to 27%, public will come grow up to 18%. The point that we need to remember here is this number. Can you see this number? 40 to 27. That means investors are only exiting 13% of the shares. Okay. And promoters are anyway exiting less, selling less, right? So this tells you that the investors, institutional investors like Sequoia, still have faith in the company and they think that the company will still grow. Okay. That is why they are not doing how much? 13, 14, one third, more than one third of the stakes in the company, which is a very, very good sign. Okay. Now, if you come in market share from a business point of view, okay, Asian Paints currently has 42%, whereas Indigo Paints only has 2%. Okay. Now, few of the things that people might not know, Asian Paint is everywhere across India, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They have more machines and all those things. We don't go into those kind of fundamentals, but Indigo Paints, whatever the market, 2% market they have captured in the entire paint industry right now is actually in tier 2 and tier 3 most probably. Okay, not tier 1 cities. Okay, so that means there are two things that will happen. One thing is, I think they are planning for a tier 1 expansion right now. That is where they are going for an IPO. First of all, their product lines is superb. Okay, there is no doubt about this. They have this kind of product which even Asian Paints doesn't have. Okay, or a Berger Paint doesn't have. So if it is going to appeal the tier 1 kind of uh, uh, customers, right? And then Indigo Paint has probably has a high chance of going up. Okay, on a longer term also. I'm talking about longer terms, right? So even if they go from 2% to 10%, no, it would be a huge success story for Indigo Paints. That's what I think. Okay. So the initial 1 year, see, in a paint industry, that is how it is going to work. The initial 1 year, if they don't pick up, okay, then it would be very difficult for them to grow. So that is, if you're buying right now and you see your share is not picking up for a year, then probably they might just be an underdog for rest quite a number of years. That is what my feeling is. Because these are the industries. See, the paint industry is such an industry where the distribution, not the distributor, basically the dealers, right, which sells the paints, they actually influence the customer to buy a particular product. Okay, so the customer might just go into a paint shop and asking for a particular paint, and let's say you have seen an ad and you go there, the dealer can change your mind by giving you a lot of technical knowledge and pros and cons and all those stuff. Okay, so it really depends that who has a better dealer network. Okay, and if you look at Asian Paint is still stronger compared to Indigo. So Indigo Paints, if they are planning to grow and taking this money just for growth, we'll look at the number, how much of they are raising for growth. So if they are taking the money for growth, then only it makes sense for put money into in a long term. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So if you look at the Indigo one, let's look at how much of this is gray premium market. We don't want this. Let's see how much of fresh shares they are asking for. Yeah, so okay. The fresh issue is only 300 crores. So this is the money they are asking ideally for growth. They want to put a new factory or whatever it is, put it into a retail network, so distribution network and all those. They still, the size, yeah, the total size is 1200 crores and fresh issue is 300 crores, which is actually 25%. 25% is still not bad if you look at like marketing. If you minus R&D expenses and all those, if you are just putting it into marketing and sales, 25% money putting into marketing and sales is not bad. So I still think it's a good number. It's a good number. Yeah. And if you look at, they have grown a lot of margin here anyway. 3.3 over the years, 3.3, 5.0, 7.6. The revenue has been decreased a little bit, which is okay. And the net income has also increased quite significantly. Right. And this might go up to 54 too. So numbers are strong. As I said, numbers are strong except the revenue, which has decreased a little bit, which is fine. Might be because of the COVID. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Valuation, let's look at. Yeah. This is what I was talking about when I was discussing about IRFC. The PE ratio is way huge, bro. 141.85 P ratio is actually, I'm not digestible. It's not digestible to buy a share who has a P ratio of 141. What was the P ratio of IRSC we seen? 8, just 8. So that looks so lucrative, right? So see, my personal view is I would not put money into Indigo other than IPO listing. I mean, apply for IPO, get the listing gain, and probably close it there. Because I'm just worried about this. And this number is too high, very high. Okay, whereas your earnings per share is only 10 rupees. Dekho, NAV only 43 per share, and the price they are asking 1500. Ooh, that's like too huge. That's like too huge. ग्रे प्रीमियम मार्केट देख लेते हैं एक बार, वो पता चल जाएगा. दिस इज IRFC. Okay, 50% premium in the gray market. Yeah, so listing gain मिलेगा आपको. So you can get a listing gain for sure. So Indigo, my view is if you want to apply for a listing gain, but then close it, because I'm just worried about this. Okay, this is way too high, but we will see. Okay, so considering this data, guys, my view, personal view, if you have money, of course you can apply for all, both IRFC and Indigo. Indigo, you can apply for listing gain for sure. Long term, I'm not that much sure, just looking at the P ratio. As I said, every other number looks good. So if they will do good, they will do it in 1 year. Otherwise, it's going to be stagnant and it will just come down anyway. Okay. The second thing is IRFC. IRFC, my bet would be a little bit bigger here on IRFC. Okay. Why I can't click this? Yeah. So IRFC, my bet would be a little bit bigger. I did a little bit more analysis on here also. And I said it has a growth potential. And if not, at least this dividend will help me out in a longer term. I'm talking in longer term. Shorter term में तो Indigo ले लो. पैसा अगर लगाना है आपको, because IRFC you can buy at a later stage. So if you have limited money, I would recommend to go for Indigo. Take the premium, listing in, close it out, come back and buy IRFC. That is how I'm going to plan if you have limited capital. But if you have capital enough to put it into both, then I would go ahead and put it in both. But I will still go ahead and close Indigo after the listing gain. If I have to make an re-entry, we'll do an re-entry. IRFC listing gain मिल गया तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं मिला तो भी it's okay, just because of this. And then this number is huge. Okay. So that's it for today, guys. I don't know how much I have covered, because see, fundamental analysis you can do analysis for 2 days, 3 days. So I have tried to put the numbers that are only relevant in this discussion to make a decision. Okay. Otherwise, I think any questions you can put it into the YouTube comment box anyway. Thank you very much. Good night. Jai Mata Di. Thanks for listening.